Hello again, Week with Will. This is the second one coming out tonight, or the second video coming out tonight. I'm trying to smash out TikTok, smash out YouTube, smash out wrapping up Christmas and birthday presents because it is that time of the year. Anyway, this is obviously a bit of a double bill, but it can work along the same theme, sort of very much building into Christmas. As you can see, I've got these horrendous Christmas shirts, Christmas jumpers I can bring out for this time of the year. Already got a lot of hate for them being in December. Is it too soon? I don't care. I'm wearing them. Deal with it. Fine. Cool. So let's just have a go back into this. So this would have been looking at the final full week in November. So this would have been wrapping up an MBS job of a very wonky, wibbly wobbly building. Granted, it did obviously take some assistance from the CAD / Revit technician, I suppose now, to help with that, because if it's not simple and straight and organised, you've got to be so much more careful as to how you're following building and structural lines, as well as the additional features of these sorts of buildings, including overhead beams within the within said rooms, sort of for the heights and additional things like that. Beyond that, I, with a few colleagues, went to survey a woodland around Colchester. In particular, the client was worried about the tree types, the tree heights, and sometimes, and I've seen this with other surveying companies, some people will try to sort of cut corners on woodland because, usually speaking, if a client's got a wooded area, they just need to know, right, this is the extent of it. They're just going to clear through it all. They're going to clear through it all. They're not going to be particular and say, I want to keep that tree, or that tree. They want to wipe it all out. Simple as get rid, get gone. So, because of this, I had to end up spending a lot more time getting the hundreds and hundreds of trees and saplings as well, because the client was also very specific in regards to when we pick up trees, at least within our company. I believe this is very much the case with other surveying companies. You look at what constitutes a tree is sort of 0.15, or so 150 mil girth, sort of diameter for the actual tree to count for it as a tree. If it's less than that, it's a sapling. It's really tiny. You just wouldn't bother, I'll be honest. So that means you end up having to pick up a lot more, being a lot more precise about the types and the heights and the details sort of around that. So I was on site there for a couple of days, wrapping that up, and then I would have had the rest of the week to continue to draw that up, because it was a bit of a fiddly one, very busy area of detail. So the song I'm going to recommend, I have to have a bit of a think on that one. So I've gone for Safe and Sound by Capital Cities. Very happy, very upbeat, and definitely never nick that from a FIFA game like some of the other songs that I've recently picked. Not that that's sort of a crime. I take a lot of influence from the playlists that they themselves provide. Got several new playlists, obviously, with the Spotify Wrapped having come out. Mine maybe not being as adventurous as sort of previous years, but plenty of upbeat songs from that, which hopefully I'll come to mention in the next few weeks. As for that, I will see you all later. Bye for now. My apologies if you noticed the cut there. I also have the West Ham Wolves game going on right now. I'm trying to cram everything in tonight, absolutely everything. So, as I was mentioning, in regards to surveying the woodland, having drawn it up on the Thursday and Friday, most of it can get done on the Thursday, been kept in a little bit on the Friday, because Friday, the big event, the work Christmas do, it finally happened. It finally got organised. We finally got out for arguably what was one out of 2 or 3 nights out I actually properly have in town, because I don't often go out, because I'm someone that stays in and drinks and is miserable, and that's usually just me, unfortunately. That's just sort of what happens when you're in your 30s and you're deal with your own mental health issues. But going besides that, managing to really enjoy that, feeling able to let my hair down a little bit, being able to have a few, being comfortable around the people that I work with, which is a really big thing for me, because if you're not comfortable around the people, you're either not going to drink as much, you'll be aware of what you say, you're going to have your guard up a lot. And I think this is something that I have to be guilty of. And I mean, people could also say that maybe I am still too open with my own work colleagues to my own detriment, as it were. But no, it's really fun sort of going out into Rio's, which is a Brazilian restaurant in town, going to a few other pubs, going to a few other bars, going to the Falcon, Ipswich as well, for the karaoke, because obviously you can hear my dulcet tones. They need to be behind a microphone, belting out Blur, Park Life, because that is my go-to. Maybe because it's a little bit talky as to why I end up doing that, because I know that sometimes potentially looking back after a drunken night out, I don't necessarily know whether I can hit all those high and low notes. So that's all we have for that. So unfortunately, that me being someone that doesn't really drink that much, my Saturday was essentially hungover, just chill, just relax, just survive. Survival is the aim of the game. So I managed to do this successfully, thankfully. And so Sunday essentially was the one day in the weekend, as opposed to the two where I managed to get my housework done, where I managed to catch up with going to the gym as well, which I can happily say from the following week and the current sort of everything going on, I'm still maintaining a 3 to 4 times a week sessions at the gym, sort of asking work colleagues to help organise and structure it to get the most out of it. I'm trying to set aside set days for what I have done, as I set aside a chest day, set aside a shoulders day, a legs day, a back day. I've got those 4 days, and I'm going to sort of stick to that, potentially going into the new year, and then change it up to make sure the body sort of doesn't get too comfortable with it, and then it doesn't get too boring and too repetitive, which will be the aim of the game. But I'm still getting gains, getting pushed on those exercises, those routines now. So I have no qualms or issues with going through with what I've got currently. Whether these are the best people to go to, I don't know. We'll find out. I don't know whether I picked the right person to help me getting a nice big chest, or whether I've picked myself in regards to legs, considering my dangling legs and my bendy knees, but that's just by the by. So from that, I then managed to go to one of the most interesting sites I've done in my surveying career, but I'm not sure whether I'm even allowed to mention it or not. I might get in trouble with my manager. Let's just say, in my opinion, it's the best place in Ipswich, arguably one of the best places in the world. I'll let your imagination go there. If you know, you know. Well, I won't be able to answer for various reasons. So I managed to sort of establish control within that area while the colleague was doing topographical survey. I was predominantly looking at the roof structure, or several areas of the roof, and particularly the supports, with the idea of potential expansion, as well as what additional features and things can be added to it in order to best sort of get use out of it. This is still currently a job that I am working on now. It's very fiddly because it's a big structure, it's a big building, and there's a lot to it. So I managed to go to said job on the Monday. I wasn't able to go to said job on the Tuesday and the Wednesday because of events going on there. On a separate note, managed to go to Portman Road on said Tuesday to go watch Ipswich against Crystal Palace. My second game, unfortunately, of the football season, having went to the Aston Villa game, hoping for a similar outcome with a team absolutely G'd up and ready to go. Unfortunately, wasn't the case. I think the staff struggled with the numbers going into Portman Road, sort of having to wait about 10-15 minutes before actually getting in. We joined the queues at sort of 7ish, despite the game being at 7:30. I was still in the queue for about 40 minutes, which is not ideal. So I'd potentially want them to have a look at how they best go about fixing this in the future, because I know this has not been the only game that this has happened. Having spoke to several people within the queues, within the staff, it's not good enough. It frustrates the staff, definitely frustrates the fans, frustrates the going experience for everyone involved, which is not ideal. Never mind that. Can't do anything about that. Couldn't do anything about sort of unfortunately was a 1-0 defeat against Crystal Palace. Continue on from that from the Wednesday, we're sort of drawing up said job. Back out on said site for Thursday, because everything's sort of been cleaned up, was ready, it was good. Access was happily and readily available there. So very much continuing on from the Monday, however, managing to get a lot more work done, making a lot more progress, having been to said site, having planned out how I'm going to do things, having already established a strong control network going forward into that, which is what took up a good bit of time on the original first day, but then paid dividends and made life a lot easier going on from that, which is very good. Wrapped that all up, continuing on drawing that up on the Friday, got to continue on drawing that up, where it's been today and probably tomorrow as well, by the by. So from that, then we had a very, very busy weekend. As many of my friends know, it was the annual Christmas trip. The annual Christmas trip with like one of my best mates. Every year, you go out to Colchester, do the round, we get smashed through all the Christmas shopping. As this is a friend that's very, very, very into their Christmas. I am someone that is usually quite miserable, despite what the shirt is sort of amending to. So I often need that little bit of a nudge to try and get in the spirit, to get into that excitement, to get into the magic of it, as it were, because I'm not usually a magical, optimistic person, unfortunately. But that was very much enjoyable experience. Sort of going to a few different shops, managing to wrap up every single present, considering I have about 15-16 presents involved around this time of the year, some Christmas, a couple of birthdays. I was just happy just to get it all done and relax. So unfortunately, it was very tiring, but very much worth it, and it's very much a time of the year, time of the year which I look forward to more than any other time day of the year, as does my friend, because it is such a traditional thing of going to Toby Carvery for lunch, sort of hitting up the shops, just trying to take it all in, breathe in the atmosphere of it all, as opposed to sort of sitting at home being a bit glum and a bit miserable, because that's what I would normally do, because that's just me. Yeah, so having managed to do that, the one other big event over the weekend was my parents' own wedding anniversary. It was like Ruby, it's like the 40th. A very big thing going on. Lots of people, lots of panic, lots of work to do as I'm the child there, because I don't want my parents having to work on their own wedding anniversary. It's not their responsibility. They should do that, and then people should be able to sort of help and build from that. So that was eventful and a little bit tiring, running after adults trying to start drink orders, running after children to make sure they don't do anything too stupid or dim, and yeah, it's an awful lot there. So, but that was all worth it in the end. Sort of we did include, or having organised, a a Ruby themed hamper for a present. So this included just anything that had Ruby in the name. So sort of Ruby candles, Ruby chocolate, Ruby rose, Ruby cheese, Ruby pork, Ruby beer. Anything we could, which I thought was a lovely sort of touch. It's a very well thought out gift which everyone contributed to. So very happy with that. I'm hoping they were very happy with that. And catch my breath. I think that's everything. Thank you very much for listening.